X Mining has relaunched its Lubumbashi copper mine project. 100 megawatt Chisamba solar plant from Power China has been connected to the national grid. Dewatering of Luansha number 28 shaft is advancing smoothly, with major breakthroughs expected within the year. Chinese enterprises remain firmly confident in Zambia's development potential and continue to expand their investments. Chinese enterprises have taken root in Zambia and actively contribute to the country's social and development. As Chinese enterprises speak highly of the investment environment in Zambia, practical cooperation between our two countries enjoys broad perspective. With its strategic geographic location, well-established legal framework, and favorable business climate, Zambia has emerged as a premier destination for Chinese investment in Africa. The time-honored friendship between Zambia and China has weathered the test of time and continued to flourish with growing vitality. President Hakainde Hichilema had met with his Chinese counterpart, President Xi Jinping, 3 times in the past 2 years or so, and elevated the bilateral relation to a comprehensive, strategic, and cooperative partnership. President Hichilema clearly stated his welcome of the Chinese enterprises to invest and to do business in Zambia. Last year's FOCAC Beijing Summit has further reinforced the strong momentum of China-Zambia cooperation. China is now working closely with Zambia and Tanzania to steadily advance the revitalization of Tanzara Railway project. Our objective extends beyond restoring only the operations to this long-dormant transnational railway. Actually, we aim to develop an economic railway belt, a corridor, or even an economic zone that will spur development along its route. In June this year, during the 4th China-Africa Economic and Trade Expo, China and Zambia signed the framework agreement on economic partnership for shared development, establishing long-term, stable, and predictable institutional safeguards for that bilateral trade and investment, guided by our heads of state and supported by trade mechanisms. Bilateral practical cooperation will surely make more new progress through 10 partner actions implementation. China enterprises firmly fulfill their social responsibilities and call for friendly development environment from all sectors of Zambian society. Regardless of global uncertainties, China will continue supporting our enterprises in expanding their investments, diversifying corporations, and pursuing innovation in Zambia. At the same time, we expect them to strengthen environmental protections and ensure all those compliance. Besides economic contributions, Chinese enterprises also maintain sustained input in local education, healthcare, and social welfare. Meanwhile, we look forward that the Zambian government, media, and public could objectively recognize the substantial achievement of China-Zambia cooperation, continuously offer support for Chinese enterprises, and foster favorable policy, social, and media environment, jointly safeguarding the big picture of our bilateral friendship. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, the Invest Zambia International Conference establishes a new platform for economic growth and bilateral cooperation. We encourage Chinese enterprises to leverage this opportunity, explore cooperation potential, and secure tangible outcomes that will elevate China-Zambia economic ties in both scale and substance. The Chinese Embassy stands ready to provide our full support. To conclude, I wish the conference full success and yield fruitful outcomes. Thank you.
Your Excellency, thank you very much for those remarks and for making Zambia a partner of choice where investment is concerned here in Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, we move on to our next speaker. Please help me to welcome Ms. Madalo Minofu, who is the Country Manager of the IFC. Let's warmly welcome Ms. Madalo, please.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, Honourable Ministers, distinguished cooperating partners, ladies and gentlemen. Many thanks for inviting the World Bank Group to be part of this pivotal investment conference, Invest Zambia 2025. Today, we gather with a shared vision to explore and harness the vast economic opportunities that lie ahead for Zambia. Our collective efforts and collaboration are crucial in driving sustainable growth and development across key sectors such as agriculture, mining, energy, and tourism. Your Excellency, under your leadership, Zambia has made significant strides in creating a conducive environment for investment. As the World Bank Group, we are committed to supporting these efforts and working together to attract new investments that will not only boost the economy, but also create thousands of jobs for Zambian citizens. The jobs agenda is a key theme for the World Bank Group, and we are confronting the jobs challenge with a three-part strategy that combines our public and private sector expertise through either IBRD, IFC, and MIGA. We would like to help countries like Zambia to establish preconditions for jobs by investing in infrastructure, health, and education, strengthening sectors like infrastructure, energy, mining and transport, agribusiness, healthcare, tourism, and local manufacturing is essential to nurturing vibrant homegrown economies. These are also sectors that resonate with the Zambia Development Plan. We would also like, as a World Bank Group, to position our knowledge bank to support countries to create regulatory and policy environments that allow businesses and entrepreneurs to succeed. And we hope that the World Bank Group's support for the Public-Private Dialogue Forum will also support this by promoting collaborative solutions. We also want to collaborate and partner with investment promotion agencies like Zambia Development Agency, to attract capital to high growth sectors with the greatest potential for local employment. Lastly, I would like to mention the expansion of the World Bank Group Guarantee Platform, which has plans to boost guarantee issuance to 20 billion by 2030. This will address investor concerns about political and regulatory risks that have historically kept capital away from developing countries where jobs are most needed. Recently, the World Bank Group launched the Zambia Economic Update, which offers key recommendations to promote economic growth, including boosting agricultural productivity, fostering greater competition within the energy sector, closing tax gaps, and maintaining prudent monetary policies to anchor inflation expectation and preserve policy credibility. We believe that this report provides the necessary insights to not only ensure the growth of the Zambian economy, but also position Zambia as a premier investment destination. While Zambia faces formidable challenges, the opportunities for growth and transformation are equally significant. It is therefore imperative that we work collaboratively to harness these opportunities, ensuring sustainable and inclusive economic development for the Zambian nation. The World Bank Group, through the Zambia Country Partnership Framework 2025 to 2029, looks forward to continuing to engage with government and all partners in fruitful discussions and forging partnerships that will drive Zambia's economic future. I am confident that the Invest Zambia International Conference 2025 will positively showcase Zambia as a preferred investment destination and attract more joint ventures between local and international investors. And through our various organizations like IFC, we are also ready to provide the much-needed capital and advisory services that the investors may need. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Minofu. I'd now like to invite to the lectern Ms. Pamela Coke-Hamilton, United Nations Assistant Secretary General and Executive Director, International Trade Center.
Thank you very much, Director of Programs. His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zambia, President Hakainde Hichilema, permit me to ride on existing protocols that were outlined earlier on. I am not Pamela Coke-Hamilton, but I read the statement on her behalf. I am her Deputy Executive Director. She, unfortunately, was not able to join us this morning due to a very urgent matter back in Geneva. But I'm very, very delighted to read the statement on her behalf, but adding to that, at a personal level, I'm very delighted to be back home. Her statement reads as follows. For those that may not be familiar with who the International Trade Center is, it is a joint agency of the United Nations and the World Trade Organization with over 60 years of experience in supporting small and medium-sized businesses in developing countries. Why SMEs? SMEs drive the majority of economies globally, and Zambia is no exception. However, upfront, I would like to say, securing quality direct investment is key for achieving tangible trade gains and social economic benefits that last. For this, Mr. President, Excellencies, I'm pleased to note that Zambia has not only acknowledged the importance of SMEs, but also recognizes their vital role in enabling transformational growth, especially when supported by the right levels of investment and other key enablers. I further note that in recent years, Zambia has indeed been implementing some robust strategic initiatives advancing the development agenda, government-led, development partner-supported, and indeed private sector-driven. Zambian SMEs have been exporting goods and services to markets both across the African continent and other regions. And we at ITC have been supporting some of these activities. We have seen them showcasing new digitally powered solutions for financial services in forums from Lisbon to Helsinki to Barcelona, winning new funding opportunities and securing awards, as we have seen with microfinance startups like Lupia and Sparko. They have been applying new techniques to agriculture production that have boosted their yields while mitigating potential negative environmental impacts. And we have seen with farmers that we have worked with in communities like Pemba and Mumbwa as part of the cotton value chain work that we are doing. But we all know this is good, but not enough. Today, we stand at an inflection point. Traditional development assistance is tightening, but also evolving as funder partners move away from the traditional aid for trade paradigm towards mutually beneficial investment for trade. And the world is not standing still. The digital transformation and the green transition are picking up speed, and they will not wait for us to catch up. That is why Zambia must forge ahead even bolder and more transformative partnerships between governments, investors, the private sector, and indeed development partners. A partnership that is coherent, ambitious, action-oriented, innovative, and inclusive. That is what is really needed. And let me break this down a little bit. First, it must be coherent, because silos will only serve to hold everyone back. Banks, corporate institutions, farmers, entrepreneurs, government agencies, and international organizations must all align, or SMEs will pay the price. The political will is here. We congratulate you, Mr. President, for your leadership. The onus is on us to act now. Second, it must be ambitious, because Zambia is not short on potential. There are natural resources, human capital, and entrepreneurial spirit right here. But incremental gains will not allow us to meet the demands of our time. Therefore, it is important that we take the solutions that we have and scale them up and craft new ones, with Zambia as leader in green trade and digital innovation across the continent. Third, we must be action-oriented, because therein lies Zambia's strength. Zambia must implement, and implement, enacting solutions that work for us as Zambians. And I deliberately say us as Zambians, because I'm one of you. and we need to reflect on our needs. We cannot stop there. We must keep learning and refining these solutions, ensuring that these remain fit for purpose and lead to concrete impacts on the ground. Fourth, we must dare to innovate, because digital technology, artificial intelligence, and smart agriculture can help us overcome and even shatter legacy barriers, so long as we use these tools wisely. Zambia must ensure that they don't follow the same path as others, where this is not right for the situations. Zambia can actually be able to chart its own course and still get to the ultimate objective. And fifth, we must press forward, making trade more inclusive, leaving no Zambian behind. Young people, women entrepreneurs, smallholder farmers, and other vulnerable groups cannot be on the sidelines or solely participants in this transformation. They must be empowered to lead it. These elements are in full alignment of the Zambia Vision 2030 and the collective aspiration of becoming a prosperous middle-income nation. Zambian SMEs are changing the understanding of trade and what it has to offer. And behind every one of these success stories, investment has played an essential role, whether in making possible the necessary infrastructure, technologies or value addition capabilities and activities. And the best is yet to come, so long as we are prepared to act together in a very bold way. We do not need to wait for the global trends to shape our future. We can be the ones leading the trends and leading the charge towards connected, sustainable, and inclusive trade. Let me now turn at this juncture to what we at ITC, together with other partners, can actually be able to contribute towards supporting the plan that outlined. At the International Trade Center, we have a long history of working alongside Zambian SMEs, as well as with the Zambian government and international partners to help SMEs compete and trade. We also work globally, active in 142 countries as at last year. The reason I provide this statistic is to also give a sense in terms of some of the observations and indeed the good practices that we have observed in other countries, and where applicable, how we can integrate this into the support that we have provided. 2014, to give a sense of what we have done, we have supported over 58,000 MSMEs, over 28,000 led by women, to improve their operations, close international business deals, and attract investment. As a result, they undertook 240 million in new business and investment transactions globally. But what really matters in all this are the people behind the numbers that I share, whose livelihoods and communities have been transformed. That's what we do today is really about. I could give a lot of illustrations in terms of specific work in other countries, but in the interest of time, I will not do that. I will instead share my statement for the additional details. Let me get to the crux of the matter from our side. What is it that we would be able to bring to the table? First, to promote and facilitate quality direct investment. What we do is working with partners to create a friendly environment and attract local, regional, and international investors, including by supporting governments in implementing major global frameworks like the World Trade Organization Investment Facilitation for Development Agreement and the continental-wide agreements like the African Continental Free Trade Area Investment Protocol. All these frameworks are ones that we certainly believe would be good and advantageous for Zambia to take forward to try and address some of the issues. Second point in relation to what we can contribute relates to Zambia's strength in the critical raw materials that is already well known, not just for copper, but also for minerals like cobalt, nickel, and manganese that are in high demand for EV batteries, which can in turn be game changers for energy storage, mobility, and electrification. These are really vital for both tackling the climate crisis and for Zambia's economic future, given the global race for critical raw materials needed in the green transition. But this can be a story coming from anywhere. We know that there have been instances where we've had investments, perhaps investment that could be better managed, one that really yields profits and leads to preventable environmental harm of social problems. We cannot have a story where mineral worth is extracted and only yields profits. And I believe strategic partnerships would really be able to address some of these issues. It is important that we also, in our work, are able to focus a lot more, not only on what is happening at the national level, but also bring into the picture the efforts that are being made at the regional level. The regional integration possibilities are huge and ones that would not open doors for private sector in Zambia, but also private sector in the region, but also going beyond that, would be opening a huge opening for Zambia's positioning as a regional hub and being able to optimize all the opportunities that come as part of the AFCFTA, but working with others in the region, also leveraging that to optimize opportunities that go beyond the region. And in this particular area, with the kind support of the European Union, we have a project that we are implementing as part of the continental efforts, but specific for Zambia. We are just starting to implement a $10 million Euro project that covers Zambia as part of COMESA. Implementing this together with UNIDO and other partners. Finally, I wanted to reiterate the importance of inclusion so that more Zambian women and youth can chase their economic dreams. It is a priority for us at ITC, where we work with partners to invest in skills development, in enabling a supportive business and regulatory ecosystem, and making finance more accessible, including teaming up with both traditional and non-traditional financing solutions. And I just wanted to quickly highlight the fact that last year, together with the World Trade Organization and with the support of the United Arab Emirates and FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022 Legacy Fund, we launched a multi-million-dollar Women Exporters in Digital Economy Fund. In short, WIDE Fund. I do hope that we can work with Zambia to ensure that Zambia can actually access financing from this fund. Thank you very much for the opportunity to share some of our reflections just on what Zambia's economic future is, and specifically what we can do or help to contribute, led by our resident coordinator of the UN, together with the other UN families who would also be contributing to this effort. Thank you, and I very much look forward to the outcomes of this meeting to be an integral part of our forthcoming SME ministerial meeting to be held in Johannesburg next week. They're very good practices that are ongoing, but we also want to hear about those challenges and see how we can support Zambia. Thank you very much, Excellency.
Director Dorothy Tembo, thank you very much for those remarks and for your passion for your home country, Zambia. Welcome home. It's now time for our next speaker, and this is Mr. Calvin Bailey, MBE, MP, United Kingdom Trade Envoy to Southern Africa. Let's welcome Mr. Bailey, please.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zambia, President Hichilema. Honourable Ministers, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, all protocols observed. Mwapona Buti. It is a great honour to join you today at this landmark gathering, a celebration of Zambia's ambition, Zambia's resilience, and vision for prosperous, green and interconnected Africa. On behalf of the United Kingdom and of your good friend, King Charles, I bring warm greetings and a strong message of partnership. We are proud to stand with Zambia as a trusted ally on your journey towards sustainable industrialisation, regional integration and inclusive growth, and the place of my birth. The theme of this conference, driving generational transformative investments through joint ventures and partnerships, speaks to the heart of what we must continue to do together. Build long-term, equitable partnerships that unlock capital, create jobs and deliver shared prosperity across borders. The UK-Zambia relationship is the model of what is possible. Through our Green Growth Compact, we are mobilising over £2.5 billion UK in sustainable private sector investment, driving energy investment in clean energy, participating in the grid interconnection between the eastern and southern power pool and supporting regional integration. UK firms are active across all sectors of the Zambian economy, from mining to agriculture and financial services, and I know more are interested. I am really looking forward to visiting Kagem Emerald Mine tomorrow, the world's largest emerald mine and a joint venture between a UK firm, Gemfields, and the Zambian government. Yesterday, alongside His Excellency the President, I attended the launch of Growth Investment Partners, a new investment company created by the British International Investment, the UK's Development Finance Institution, and with funding from your own NAPSA and from Swede Fund. This innovative platform will provide long-term, flexible, local currency capital to SMEs in Zambia, driving job creation and inclusive growth. Mr. President, we will look back upon this moment with great pride because it is the moment you engage the entire economy. The UK government is deepening economic collaboration with its partners to increase investment and trade, to foster innovation and to bolster the resilience of supply chains, especially those critical to frontier industries. Last month saw the launch of the UK's modern industrial strategy. This represents a renewed UK offer to collaborate and partner on achieving mutual, secure and resilient growth. This industrial strategy reaffirms our long-term commitment to promoting open and fair trade. The growth-driving sectors being prioritised by the UK are globally interconnected and rely on international trade, investment and cooperation. Sectors such as clean energy, for which Zambia's role in global supply chains is critical. That is why we are pleased that Zambia has accepted the UK Foreign Secretary's invitation to join the supply chains mission of Global Clean Power Alliance, which will convene partner countries to promote the development of diverse and secure clean energy supply chains. Another great example of our collaboration is the British Geological Survey's work in Zambia. I am pleased to be able to announce that the BGS, in partnership with Zambian Geological Survey Department, Copperbelt University and the Ministry of Mines, has produced a guide to Zambia's critical and strategic mineral resources. This supports Zambia's national critical minerals strategy and enhances capacity to attract responsible investment in minerals to power the global green transition. This resource is available online now, and we will formally launch it later in the year. And today, I am pleased to highlight the UK's latest trade reforms, launched last week under the Developing Countries Trading Scheme. These reforms streamline access to the UK market for African exporters, including Zambia, and are designed to boost exports, create jobs and support economic growth across the continent. This will simplify rules of origin, allowing countries like Zambia to source inputs from across Africa while maintaining tariff-free access to the United Kingdom. The DCTS will help unlock opportunities for Zambia to take opportunities and advantage of intra-African trade. The African Continental Free Trade Area offers a historic opportunity to create a single market of 1.4 billion people. But to realise its full potential, we must invest in the systems that connect African economies: transport corridors, digital infrastructure, harmonised standards, export promotion and resilient supply chains. The reforms to the DCTS are part of the UK's broader Trade for Development offer and our new trade strategy, which prioritises growth through global partnerships and future-facing markets, alongside which the UK will be providing targeted support to help exporters meet UK standards and navigate customs procedures, making it easier for our partner countries to trade services, including digital, legal and financial services. The UK is a dependable partner. We believe in African-led development, and we are committed to supporting Zambia's role as a regional hub for trade logistics, innovation and green growth. To our Zambian hosts, my brothers and sisters, thank you for your leadership. To our fellow investors and development partners, let us seize this moment. Let us forge partnerships that are bold, inclusive and future-facing. Together, we can build a continent that trades more, grows more, sustainably, thrives more equitably, and that partners ever more productively with the UK for the benefit of both countries. To Olumba, thank you.
Thank you so very much, and yet again it is appropriate to say welcome home. At this time we will hear some brief remarks from a representative of one of the cooperating partners in the form of a private entity, and that is an actual player in the industry. And so please join me in welcoming Mr. Anthony Malenga, the country manager, Barrick Lumwana.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, allow me to write on the protocols already established. I will just share a success story and just to congratulate you and your government on the pro-business approach, the policy stability in transforming the mining sector, as well as the economy at large. Thank you, Your Excellency. I'll just take the audience through a few slides just to share a success story in terms of our super pit expansion, a $2 billion investment in the Zambian economy and into our mining. That's our global footprint as Barrick, 18 countries. We're a gold and mining company, and pleased to say that Lumwana is the biggest gold asset we have in our portfolio. This is our story of transformation. You can see from 2021, with change in policy and everything, we invested in new fleet, and we have also published our feasibility report in 2024, and the Barrick board has approved the $2 billion investment, and that expansion is well underway. Our strategy is to build a Tier 1 gold mine in the country, transforming Lumwana from an average production of 120,000 tons per annum to 240,000 tons per annum in the next 3 years. To give a few highlights, so far in 2025, the $2 billion investment approved and well underway to double our production, to double our throughput, and we are all on track to achieve our production for this year in line with our guidance. In terms of economic contribution, since 2019, when we merged with One Gold, Lumwana has contributed $4 billion into the Zambian economy in terms of taxes, salaries, and payment to local suppliers. In terms of our production in Q1, we're on track, as I've established, with our ramp-up on the super pit, and we expect to be in the range of 150,000 tons of copper. In terms of our development agenda, Your Excellency, we are transforming the Manyama town into an economic hub. The airport is already under construction to be completed at the end of the year. And with that, we're building a housing estate for our employees, targeting 2,000 houses, as well as new facilities, services, roads, and transportation network. In terms of local employment, Your Excellency, we are committed to employing Zambians. We are pleased to announce that 98% of our workforce are Zambian nationals. A brief update on our expansion project. That's our schedule, which has already commenced in Q1 this year and to be completed in 2028, where, as I announced earlier, we will double our production to 240,000 tons of copper per annum. This is a geological picture of our super pit model. In simple terms, we are combining various satellite pits in our Chimungo pit into one big pit, which is backed by big geological study, increasing our resource base, as well as extending the life of mine of Lumwana from 2042 to 2057. This is the investment into our plant. The plant has already been ordered and been manufactured. This is just an illustration to show that the yellow line is where the new plant will fit into the old plant, which will result in our doubling of our throughput from 27 million tons per annum to 52 million tons per annum by 2028. In terms of our metallurgical model, the super pit has established a higher recovery and grade stability, which is informing this great investment and further extending our life of mine. This cannot be achieved without investment in high gear, Your Excellency. As you visited last year, you saw our big dump trucks and big shovels, and we're investing in more, moving our current fleet from 50 dump trucks to 91 dump trucks, which are pegged at 300 tons per payload. Your Excellency, the energy is a key component of this mining sector, and we have established a partnership model with ZESCO in unlocking the energy potential in the Northwestern Corridor. So this partnership is strong, and we're already working with our mining partners in investing in more overhead lines and further infrastructure to fit in with the government's agenda of unlocking energy potential, and this will be achieved, Your Excellency. Permitting has already been established, and we thank the regulatory authorities for their agility in ensuring that we are on track with our expansion project. I thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much, Mr. Melenga. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause to Barrick Lumwana. We'll move on to our next speaker in the interest of time, ladies and gentlemen. It's now my privilege and honor to invite the Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry, Honorable Chipoka Mulenga, MP, to give his remarks and also assist with the protocols of raising our guest of honor for the keynote address. Honorable Chipoka Mulenga, MP, please.
It is a very exciting day today. Your Excellency, Mr. President, President of the Republic of Zambia, as I stand before you, and dear brothers and sisters coming from the different parts of the world, to the inaugural session of the Invest in Zambia International Conference. Your Excellency, before I go on to deliberate or to give my remarks, allow me to recognize my dear brothers and sisters from Cabinet. Your Excellency, allow me to recognize also Excellencies, ambassadors, and diplomatic corps present here today. Mr. President, allow me also to recognize different private sector players, both local and globally, that have come to join us here today. Mr. President, allow me to ride on the protocols that have been established by my earlier speakers. This is a day that we do not only meet to fulfill the calendars or the schedule in a calendar, but a day that marks a milestone on how we transform how Zambia does business. The theme of this day is amazing, Mr. President. Dear colleagues and friends that have come to join us, driving generational transformative investments through joint ventures and partnerships. I will read this again, Your Excellencies, so that it is well heard. Driving generational transformative investments through joint ventures and partnerships. For a very long time in our country, it has been them and us. We have seen investment coming from different parts of the world, and they have done investments on their own. And we have seen outcries from different parts of our society in Zambia calling each other names. The visionary leadership of President Hakainde Hichilema said, a time has come when we worked together as partners to grow the fortunes of this country. I need to give context to the background of what we are seeing here today. First, in the year 2022, the President called for the first ever Zambia-China Business Forum. Then it was Zambia-European Union Business Forum. Then he sent me to hold another business forum at Sarova International Hotel, Zambia-Israel Business Forum. Then he led another business forum, Zambia-US Business Forum. From there, we've been having different business forums with different partners from the rest of the world, bringing everyone together to collaborate and work together as a team to grow the business investment of this country. Mr. President, dear colleagues, for the first time, we have seen the establishment of a Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprises, where our SMEs are running and going closer to the office of the CEC, run by Honorable Elias Mubanga, to get investment through loans and grants. With a passion to do business within and outside our borders, to ride on the rails of Honorable Tayali's Lobito and Tazara rails. With a passion to communicate throughout their business forums and journeys with towers erected across the country, new towers erected through the Ministry of Science and Technology of Honorable Elias Mutati. Leaders, ladies and gentlemen, we have seen how the labor community comes to work together to attract foreign investors, where the labor force is predictable, determined by good policies, and understood through the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. But to achieve growth through all these that we have spoken about, we need to support not only SMEs, but corporates that are operating in Zambia. For them to grow, it has been known that we need to work with cooperating partners that has got the right technology, the right capital, among other things, to make us grow. It is the more reason why the President had to bring together a team of Zambians and international partners to put up what we are witnessing here today, the Invest in Zambia International Conference, ISIC 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish to welcome you from different parts of the world as we mark a milestone on how we shape investment. Speakers ahead of me have spoken of what we expect out of this and what we want to achieve as a country. It's not only the local investors that we are talking about. It's not only the global investors, but regional investors too. Mr. President, it is now my privilege and honor, ladies and gentlemen, to call upon His Excellency, the Chief Investment Officer, to come and address us on this forum. Mr. President, I call upon you, sir. Thank you.
You may take your seats, please. Please do take your seats. Thank you very much. Let me recognize the ministers that are here from Zambia, from other countries, and all senior officials from here and different jurisdictions that are in attendance today. I must acknowledge Honourable Kelvin Bailey, the UK's trade envoy to Zambia and the region, Chinese ambassador, my EU colleague that is seated with us at the top table, obviously the Zambia Development Agency Chief Executive and your team. I'm aware that we have business leaders here from Zambia, within the country, and countries outside. Many of you, huge attendance. We're very delighted for that. I also acknowledge representatives of our development partners, cooperating partners, within and outside. Diplomatic corps from outside representing Zambia here, but also our ambassadors and high commissioners that are based outside of our country, looking out for investments for us. And some of the delegations that are here have been orchestrated by these high commissioners, ambassadors. I know who is working, I know who is not. So we are watching you. How do we know you are working? You bring investors here, and they invest here. That's how we know you're working. Obviously, we have sponsors. They Invest in Zambia International Conference sponsors. We acknowledge your presence. Thank you for stretching your revenue statements and making money available for this important conference. Distinguished participants, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, my duty first is to welcome you all here. Truly, truly, warmly welcome you here, especially those that have had to travel long distances to come to Zambia, to be in this Invest in Zambia International Conference. We know you are busy. We know that you have targets to meet in your businesses, in your countries. And the fact that you took a decision to join us at our behest, at our invitation, we really appreciate that, even before you sign the transactions that we expect you to do so. Thank you so much for coming to visit us. And we would like you to stay a little bit longer after the conference. Please visit some of our tourist locations, many of which are second to none. A few minutes flight will take you to Livingstone, Victoria Falls, Musiotunya we call it. An hour, 2 hours drive, you'll be in the Kafue National Park. A few minutes flight, you'll be in the Luangwa National Park in Fue. Please don't lose this opportunity. And that will make even you decide to invest here so you can continue viewing these sites going forward. I am seated here, there, listening to messages, wonderful messages that have been given by the speakers, able speakers, all of them. Thank you for those messages. But just to indicate to you that this conference is important to us. As you heard from the Minister of Commerce, we have been working on building blocks to get to today. My EU colleagues are aware that shortly after we were elected by the people of Zambia, I went into Brussels and addressed the European Union Parliament and talked about Zambia being back in the Champions League. I know some of you have forgotten. I know you have forgotten. All those were building blocks, including my visitations, President's visitations to China, visitations to the US, visitations into the GCC countries in the Middle East. All of those were building blocks towards today. And the things that have happened in our 3 years, 11 months in office today. All these things are connected. They were orchestrated by ourselves deliberately, intentionally, because that's the way to get things done, we believe. Yes, I see the ambassador from Egypt. My visit there, talking to Arab contractors, was deliberate. And I hope we will be concluding our projects together in that area. So are many of you ambassadors. We've done a great job. We invite you to State House, you go to ministries. It's only one story. Let's work together. Let's invest in this country. And we know the benefits that will accrue from the decisions that we make. And I will just articulate a few of those before I close. As the English say, the test of the pudding is in the eating. What have we been able to do in the last 3 years, 11 months? But for now, please, this conference, maximize the benefits that come out of it. As I told you, the building blocks, yes, we are saying this kind of conference is the first one, but this fellow standing here, as a young man in the 90s, late 90s, I led 2 investment conferences like this, not exactly like this. In 1997, here in Zambia, I chaired a conference, Investment Opportunities in Zambia. 1999, fairly young man then, chaired a similar conference in London, Zambia Investment Opportunities. This is the time I was in the private sector. And for me, this is a long road that we've been walking on. Today, I'm officiating as head of state. But this has been a program. This has been a walk, a long walk, all of it with a single-mindedness to get Zambia to realize its potential. Not to talk about potential every now and then, but to realize that potential. So, our vision now, and as it was even when we were still in opposition, was to drive, to accelerate economic growth. Growth and more growth. In summary, for jobs, for our youthful population. 1. 2, to create more business opportunities for our domestic businesses, for our partners from the region, within Africa and outside of Africa. Very clear in our minds. 3, to enhance treasury income, which would allow us to invest more in improving the business operating environment. And then we can have a cycle of investment, reinvestments, and jobs, and more business opportunities. Very simple agenda. Very important yet. That is what we are standing to do, and this conference is one amongst many of the issues we're working on. I must always remind fellow citizens that when we do these things, they will benefit our population in many ways. Free education for our children. And since we came into office, reintroduced free education, we've taken back school-going age children to the level or number of 2 million who were out of school. We cannot support free education without growing the economy. Not possible. We can't share poverty. No matter how much we love each other, we can only redistribute benefits from growth. And benefits from growth will only be occasioned if we invest, we trade. Simple. Citizens know why I'm emphasizing this, because sometimes there's a disjoint in the understanding of these things. We'll be able to look after the sick, the old, those who have retired. We'll be able to look after those with disabilities. That's the story. But as we seek growth of our own country, we also seek the growth of our region. SADC, our region's East African Community, ECOWAS, the North, Arab Africa, Central Africa, because we understand if our continent is growing, then we are able to address a lot of things, including nuances, such as the boat people going into Europe. If we offer them opportunities on this continent, the chances are that they don't have to take the risks that they're taking, with the possibility of dying in the high seas. But they do it over and over because they're looking for opportunities. Let's convert our resource endowment into value and create opportunities for our people. Very simple. And I think some of us are now on the continent pushing as leaders that we must, on African continent, we must change the narrative from every time we meet, 80% of the time we're talking politics. We would like, some of us, as presidents, newer presidents on the continent, that we change the narrative. 70% of our time we must be talking about economies, investments, trade. But charity begins at home. We must do it here as a leadership. Charity begins at home. A lot of our colleagues have already talked about the opportunities, but let me touch on why we believe you should invest here, because government is working hard to do its part, improving the business operating environment. We knew we could not do that without dealing with the debt mountain. So we worked very hard to restructure our debt. Priority amongst many when we took office. Because without debt restructuring, it was going to be impossible to have a conference like this. We knew that. So we worked hard to restructure the debt. And we've made good progress, giving us the headroom that we now have. We worked on ensuring that we restore the rule of law in our country. Law and order. Yes, we still have lingering negative behaviors, because change process is not a one-shot event. It's a process. What else? Working hard to restore the largest single sector in our economy, especially with regard to foreign exchange earnings, the mining sector. Deliberately so, to bring back mining assets that were out of commission for 47 years. Kalengwa. Out of commission for 23 years. 28 Shaft. Get back Mopani, KCM, with great difficulties. For our visitors, this president and cabinet, we drove a message that we don't do business in court. When we took office, a lot of assets, key assets, were not in operation, or they were operating suboptimally because of litigation. And litigation, sorry, Honorable Kelvin Bailey, was taking place in London. Zambian litigants fly to London to talk resolution of their issues in Zambia. We said, no. We don't do business in court. Come home. And we've been able to unlock a lot of these transactions. Part of improving the business environment. And that, going forward, as you sit here, as you invest, or those who are invested here, know that our doors are always open to help you resolve issues that stand in your way, including litigation. One mine in Mumba called Kitumba Mine. Private sector partners were litigating against each other for years. When we came in office, called them to State House, colleagues, let's sit here. We want our 3 million tons. Kitumba must make its contribution. You have been in court for too long. We sat with them. We resolved the matter. Mine development is taking place now. So I want to assure the investors that are here, already invested or intending to, your government will be engaged, supportive to resolution of those issues. That's our job. That's why we left private businesses to work for the people of Zambia and to drive economic development. I can go on. We have also realized that government bureaucracies can weigh you down as a business. So the president has set up a presidential delivery unit to support the normal routine ministries doing things, but to accelerate resolution of things that stand in the way of business. We now have a platform. Again, the president set up the Public-Private Dialogue Forum so that the governmental side and the private sector are talking to each other. Even when we now do our budgets, we get structured inputs from the private sector so that our national budgets can reflect the needs of the private sector. We are doing a number of other things that should make life easier as we invest in this country. We continue to work on the fight against corruption. Absolutely. Non-selective fight against corruption, past, present, future corruption. All that is important for the business operating environment. So, we also are saying that there are things that this country is not acknowledged for, such as what? Stability. I am the 7th president since we got our independence in 1964. 4 political parties, UNIP, MMD, PF, and UPND now. And all of the changes of government have taken place peacefully. Peacefully. This must be taken into account as you consider where to locate your investment on the continent. I think we are undersold. We're here to sell ourselves properly. Locate here. It's peaceful here. Warm people here. Sometimes they frustrate me because they are slow. But they are better slow than being violent and waging guns. And we're kicking them. I'm naughty for that. Everybody knows. My cabinet knows. My PSs know. I'm naughty for kicking. And consistently so. Unashamed. Because that's the only thing I know. I don't know any other way of getting things done. Structured working, results driven, target setting, 3 million tons of copper. This year, we will be knocking on the historical 1 million tons of copper since we started mining as a country. First time. When we set the target, when we took office, even fellow cabinet ministers will say, Mr. President, how can you set such targets? It's not possible. I said, we can do it. So this year, as we hit our 4th year in office, with all the litigation that was there in the mining sector, all the lawlessness that was there, all the underperformance, all the GDP dropped to minus 2.8%. We inherited economic growth of minus 2.8%. I still said we can soldier towards that target. This year, we hope to get there. 1 million tons, psychological mark. It means there are things we need to do. We need to invest more. We need to ask business to reinvest. Just to give you an example. Anton there, Barry Gott, was talking of that project you saw on the screens. That project was never going to be there. Before the elections of 2021, Lumwana was considering exiting. And I said to the guys, just wait a little bit, wait for the elections. The elections came. They stopped their exit plans. They reinvested, after discussions, $2 billion. Super pitch. And I went there, Minister of Labor, where is she? And I was looking at the super dump trucks. You look at the dump truck like that. And who is driving that dump truck? A young woman. A young woman. Is she an expatriate? No. Where is she from? From Manyama. And she was trained by Lumwana to drive that highly technological dump truck. That's what Anton was talking about. raw material movement, the throughput, the numbers he gave you, through our intentional conversations with the mine, and moving Lumwana from a mid-tier mining, copper mining company, from gold. We got them to do copper mining from gold. Now there will be a first-tier mining company by volumes, quantums, 250,000 metric tons. Then there will be a first-tier mining company anywhere in the world. There is your pudding. There is your eating of the pudding. 3 years, 11 months down the road. There are the jobs. There are the business opportunities. Where is Anton? They have put $12 billion in this economy through suppliers, taxes, payroll. And yet, in this country, we have colleagues that argue that this government has given away tax revenue. The mines are getting away with it. The largest single taxpayer in this country is a mine called First Quantum, next door to Lumwana, Consumption Solwezi, and Colombia, who too, since we came into office, have invested well over $1.5 billion in the consumption expansion. I know Dr. Bene is here. You are there. Taste of the pudding is in the eating. They too were exiting. Fortunately, I knew the key guys 35 years back. And I spoke to them. As an opposition, I was already marketing our country, asking investors not to leave. And that will change things, and the environment will be better. There is another. There is another. Consumption was to close. Dr. Bene, 2 years ago, they call him Dr. Bini. He's actually Dr. Bene. So, consumption was to close 2 years ago. We sat together and said, how do we extend the life of this mine? Next month, I'm going to launch a new processor there, and the mine's life has been extended beyond another 20 years. There is the taste of your pudding. We've actually developed now, in the last 3 years, 11 months, the largest nickel mine on the African continent. There. I'm talking about a business operating environment. I'm talking to somebody seated in this room, somebody listening to this conversation, that Zambia is a place to be. Zambia is the place to be. Things happen here. It's possible. Working together. That's the message. I can go on, but frankly speaking, little facilitation we're doing. We realize the country's resources are not known. We talk about them. For the first time, this government has invested in the high-resolution geophysical mapping for our minerals, for our water, for our soils. And we are investing that money ourselves as citizens through the budget. Where I stand here, because I'm the first one to receive data, what is coming out is overwhelming in terms of resource endowments in this country. But we want to manage these resources in a way that we don't have rivers of blood. That's why we are talking about 4 things now. Legal mining, legal, not illegal mining. 2, safe mining. I'm not going to sit here as head of state to allow our young people going into tunnels and dying every day. There has to be safe mining. Investors, please. 3, formal trade. So that value of those resources come into the economy. helps our growth agenda. 4, new thing now, security. We don't want Zambia to be insecure like other countries. And then we start exporting insecurity in the region and on the continent, and invariably in the world. Icona. No. That's all I'm saying. So investors, please, we must have legal mining. We must have safe mining. Safe mining extends beyond just physical accidents. It's also managing the environment properly. And then making sure that our trade comes into economy in a formal way. More value, more opportunities, and security. I've repeated these things for a reason. Zambians know. We have a debate now whether the government must allow illegal mining. No, 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 never. But we want Zambians to participate. We've given, Minister of Mines is not here, lots of licenses to Zambians. But now we want them to have partners. Small, medium size partners, large mines, to partner with Zambians with the licenses. Ticks the box of legal mining. Kwenyu. Right? Then we can tick the box of safe mining because they have a partner who is able to bring equipment so we can bench a mine properly. And then we can trade formally. And the country remains secure, even with its resource endowments. I really think promotion of opportunities have already been given, but to touch on energy, it's our priority now, energy. To achieve our targets, growth and sectoral targets, mines, agriculture, 10 million tons of maize, wheat, soybeans, to support food security for ourselves, for the region, we need energy, we need irrigation, all of that. So I'm inviting you colleagues seated here that investing in energy now is much easier than before when we had a monopoly of ZESCO. The reforms we've injected, that's another point, we're injecting reforms in our economy in many sectors, including energy, that allows the sector now to attract independent electricity producers or generators, independent. It was never there a few years ago. Independent traders, open access, meaning you can generate from any part of the country and you move power to the demand point, a mine for example, or an agricultural irrigation facility, which was not possible a few years ago. We brought in reforms that makes it possible, including the energy mix, net metering, power blending. The experts in the energy know that. All these reforms are meant to help us generate more energy to support economic growth agenda and to reduce downtime. So, I want to say digital platforms are important to us, very important to us. Consider those. Manufacturing. We are now practicing what we call positive discrimination. When the President first spoke about positive discrimination in Cabinet, my colleagues were saying, what are you talking about? If you produce here, you employ people here, you pay taxes here, in the procurement decision making, we'll give you priority. So invest here and you'll get priority. And that's why we took a decision, even though some of my personal friends were fertilizer traders for 30 years. I told them, guys, you want to get contracts on fertilizer, in 2 years' time, you may not have them, because we'll be giving contracts to those who make fertilizer here. United Capital Fertilizer is here. I think they are here. Thank you, sir. And this government supports that business 120%. From an import-dependent country on fertilizer to now a net exporter of fertilizer to 8+ countries in the region. In 3 years, 11 months, there's a test of the pudding. Now we are self-sufficient in basil dressing. We're moving to self-sufficiency, surplus into top dressing. Intentional. From 0 jobs to how many jobs? By end of year, 10,000 jobs. I'm an intelligence officer, so I collect data. It's part of my passion. I collect data. That's the job of a head of state, amongst many, and I take it seriously. From very little to 10,000 jobs, paralleling the large mining companies. We have a fertilizer company bred here, and it's to be employing 10,000 Zambians. Maybe 10,000 out of that, I don't know what percentage will be Zambian employees. 90 what percent? 98%. And that's the principle we have here. If we need to import skills from anywhere in the world, in any business, that will help us generate more Zambian jobs. We'll do it. And the work permit will be granted. There's the Minister of Home Affairs. I've told him, give the work permits to specialists that will sustain or generate an additional 100, 200 jobs. You need one expert, let them be. They will be welcome here. As you invest, your experts will be welcome here. Easy, isn't it? Straightforward. It doesn't require one to be a rocket scientist to understand that. And alongside what that fertilizer company is doing, it will be generating now 80, how many megawatts? Gilbert, I'm an old friend of mine in business, that one, Gilbert Temba. Although sometimes he says he doesn't know me, but he's an old friend of mine, Mr. Gilbert Temba. 85 megawatts of power. The plant will only consume 40 what? 40. So we have 45 megawatts into the grid. Alongside the technology, alongside fertilizer manufacturing, the technology allows them to generate power. Fantastic. I think we should clap for those guys. And they have our full support. Initially, people said, this is distorting transparency in procurement. I said, what do you mean? What do you mean it distorts transparency in procurement? Do you agree that we want this economy to grow? I said, we agree. Do you know how it grows? He says, yeah, maybe we have an idea. I said, that's how the economy grows. And that's how we employ people. My invitation to EU colleagues, come, let's manufacture pharmaceuticals here. I made a call when I was on the floor of the European Union Parliament in Brussels. I made a call, and I'm glad that now transactions are happening with the EU companies in joint venture with Zambian companies to manufacture pharmaceuticals here. And we will also buy from them because they are sustaining growth and Zambian jobs. Very simple. There's a young man seated there in the pharmaceuticals, gone to India, to China, to look for partners, Europe, America, to work with us and join us, British, in our agenda. The Green Growth Compact, which was mentioned here. This story is good. It's an extremely good story if we have our minds where our souls are. It's a good story. Can we do better? Yes, 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 we can do better. We can do more. Let's do it together with yourselves. Be part of that example next year we meet at this conference. Be part of the examples I'm citing. And if I have not cited your example, don't feel guilty. I'm going to use them, or don't feel unhappy. I'm going to use your case in another platform. I've learned to be sensitive to unfairness or feeling of unfairness. So, I think it's important for me to summarize, stand down, and say we have 4 parameters for investment, amongst many, but 4 key ones. Please hear them. 1, we are looking for capital. We're looking for capital. Bring capital here. Investment, trade, around there. Bring capital. But please bring fairly priced capital. Africa has been paying a highest price of capital in the same sectors. I think that's discriminatory. We were looking for a fairly priced capital in this country to help lower the cost of doing business. Number 2, bring technology, appropriate technology. Don't bring second fiddle technology because this is Zambia, this is Africa. No. We want the high road technology, highway technology. Because it will also help us in the efficiencies and higher productivity, as well as cutting on the bureaucracy and sometimes human intervention that leads to some negative vices. So bring technology along. If the business is not large enough to support this on technological platform, we can consortium. We can have common facilities, platforms. So technology. Number 3, we do not want the old model of the colonial era and the years before. Investors must work in joint venture with us. Public if you want. As we work in Kajem, gem fields, and our own mining entity in a JV, and now being the largest emerald mine in the world. I also want to announce to you, Zambia has overtaken Colombia. We are the largest producer of emeralds in the world now. But we want to do more. So JVs, find your partner. Let me remind you, investors, if you are in joint venture with a host country or investors, businesses in the host country and its people, you are wise as an investor. You are very wise. One of the value aspects you get is that with that vested interest, common interest, it will be hard for any naughty politician to talk expropriation. Because that politician has to face citizens who are vested in that business, and they are voters. If there's anything politicians fear is voters. I think there's value in having partners. So that's number 3, joint ventures. The model of the past, where you come in, invest alone, is not the right thing to do. Because you want citizens to see your investment as their own investment. Common sense. Shared interest. In our meetings with President Xi Jinping, he was driving the message that let's invest together for a shared future. It caught my mind. It rings a bell in my mind. and it means a lot to us. Number four, value addition. Add additional value. Process. It fits in our growth agenda. So we'll have a fit there, hand in glove, and we'll be supportive throughout. My story ends here, and simply say to you, you are in the right place. You are in the right place. There are problems. One of the problems I'll tell you is the bureaucracy in the public sector. We are tackling it. Let's tackle it together. You pick these rigidities, highlight them. Government is open to listening to you. And you ambassadors, Zambian ambassadors, high commissioners, do your job there. You didn't go out there to drink tea only. No. You went there to bring investments here. I'm not joking, I'm serious. Explain to investors things that they need to know there. And if you are short in explanation, we are here at home. Ministers are here, PSCs are here, Cabinet is here, they are specialists. I'm very pleased to say, and take the honor and privilege to say that the Invest in Zambia International Conference 2025 is officially open. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, if I might beg your indulgence and ask that at this time you please descend to the auxiliary seat. Ladies and gentlemen, what we're about to witness is truly a first, just as we are at the very first ISIC 2025. We will have an opportunity to hear presidential insights which will be brought to us by the President of the Republic of Zambia, and moderating this fireside style chat is none other than Mr. Jito Kayumba, who is a special